Hi, welcome back. So today I decided that I would check on the dahlias that I'm storing over winter. I had seen a couple of friends in the last few days post on Instagram about how they had gone to check on their dahlias. And luckily they looked beautiful. They were nice and plump and firm. And it got me thinking, oh man, I haven't checked on my dahlias in a few weeks. To give you some backstory, I've been growing dahlias for about 3 years now, and the first year was about 2019, and I had purchased a number of dahlias, and because I wasn't really familiar with growing them, I decided I wasn't going to invest a lot in them, and I just picked up about, I don't know, 6 to 10 at like Walmart. And they actually grew well, and I'll post a link to a video that I made a couple of years ago. I'll warn you, the quality is not that good, but nonetheless, you'll get to see what the dahlias looked like, the ones that I purchased from Walmart. They were beautiful, and they did well. But come the winter, which was time for me to learn how to store them, I wasn't really sure what to do. I watched a couple of videos, went online, did a little bit of searching, and just kind of came up with a system that I thought would work for myself, and it didn't work out all that well. And so what happened was I had wrapped them in just damp newspaper, and I put them in a cardboard box, and I stuck them in my basement. Because a lot of people say to keep them in a cool area, and I thought, well, the basement's going to be a cool spot. Let's give that a shot. And when I went to go check on my dahlias, they were all dehydrated or shriveled. They were all shriveled. And I thought for sure they were goners. And actually, most of them were. But I did take some steps to try to kind of remedy the situation. And I went and and I'll insert some clips of what I did. I had soaked them in a sink full of water for a few hours, and some of them started to rehydrate or plump back up. I did go on to pot some of them, and a handful of them did grow, maybe 3 or 4, but not all of them. From what I recall, I think it was about 3 of them that I was able to get to bloom again, and all the rest of them were ruined. So the following year, which was 2020, I decided, you know, I'm not doing that again. I don't know how to store them. I'm going to end up ruining them. So I only bought maybe a couple more. I bought maybe 2. I bought them at a box store and I tried them. And this time I stored them a little bit better with shredded newspaper, and I made sure to put them in the garage. Every few months, maybe every 2 months, I would go in, so maybe twice I did this, and I would spritz them with my water bottle, and I kept the newspaper not wet, but just kind of moist. And so that worked out better. So a lot of them, of those handful that I had, maybe 3 to 5 at that point, they did fine, and that was my test to see if I could actually keep these things alive. Then in the spring of 2021, not spring, but like winter of 2021, I got brave. And I said, well, you know something? I kept these mostly alive. There was only a few of them, but I think I could do this. So let's order some nice varieties. So I went online, and some of my Instagram friends, I had purchased, they sell tubers for sale. So I had purchased a couple from them, and I grew those, and they were beautiful. I'll insert a couple of photos. They were absolutely gorgeous. And so then at the end of the season, I kind of dug them up late. It was November. We were already starting to get freezing temperatures. I barely got them out of the ground. So every year has been a learning experience. The first year I didn't store them well. They all kind of shriveled. I was only able to revive maybe a couple. The second year I only bought maybe 2 or 3 to try again. Those did slightly better. So gave me the confidence to try it a third year. The third year, I bought a bunch of beautiful ones, and now I'm worried because I'm digging them out of the ground a little bit late, so it was already hard for me to kind of work the soil because it was starting to freeze up. And on top of that, I had to, quickly clean them. The hose was already put away for the winter, so I decided I'm not going to wash them. I'm just going to let them dry for a day or 2, brush off as much soil as I can, and they'll be clean enough for me to store them. This time I decided I was going to try animal bedding. So the animal bedding, how did that work out? Well, I don't know. We're going to find out in a minute. I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about it because I kind of reached my hand in and poked around, and they were starting to feel a little soft. So we're going to look at them together. I did dig out a bag of vermiculite that I had left in the shed. I don't have a lot left, but I'm going to see if I can sort of remedy the situation. If they are starting to get a little shriveled, we'll see what we can do to keep them alive for the next 2 months. I think it's about 2 months, right? We're at the end of January, so we have February, March, and in about at the end of April, we get our last frost date, and I think around Mother's Day is when I like to plant them. So yeah, I got to keep these things alive for another 3 months. So I think this is a good point for me to take a look, see what's going on, see if any changes need to be made so that I can ensure that these beautiful tubers that I invested in last year will continue to produce blooms. So let's go ahead and see. All right, let's take a look. I have them with this piece of paper on top. And I did a combo of the pine shavings and shredded newspaper that I would spray periodically with a water bottle just to kind of maintain a little bit of moisture. I think I've done it like twice, but I've never actually looked at the dahlias. I just came in here and kind of sprayed them. So let's take a look. Okay, here's the first one. Not looking great. See how it's all shriveled? That's bad. This one still has a little bit of firmness, not much. So I'm going to see what we can do. I'm just going to put these over in a box and take a look. Now, in my rush to get them out of the ground in November, I also didn't label them. So if they survive, I'll have to, identify them. I do have a list of which varieties I have, so I'll be able to identify them and tag them at that point. See that? That looks like a little bit of mold, so probably not good. I'll be honest, I'm getting a little worried. All right. This one looks good. So this one has a couple of tubers that are a little shriveled here, okay? But there's still a couple that look like a potato that feel okay. So this one might still be all right. All right, this one still has some firmness. So I'd say that this one is okay. See, it has a couple of the shriveled ones, but as long as there's still some that feel like a potato, I think they're okay. So we're 2 and 2 at the moment. Oh, this one's good. So I'm noticing that the deeper I get in the box into the pine shavings, the firmer they look. So maybe it's just the top ones that maybe got a little bit more dried out, and the ones at the bottom in the middle of the pine shavings, they seem to be doing okay. Yeah, this one's all right too. Oh, this one has a label, but it's off. It's like faded. But this one also feels okay. I think this one is called Sylvia though, from what I recall, because a friend sent me this one and she had labeled it. So far so good. Can't complain. Better than I expected. That one feels good too. So I guess in summary, the pine shavings don't seem to be doing a terrible job. So I was going to switch them to vermiculite, but I might just leave them and see how this year works out, and then do vermiculite next year. Oh yeah, this one, I don't have much faith for it. It's really soft and mushy. Yeah, we'll put that one in the maybe not pile. These feel okay. This particular one here has a little bit of mold and it's a little dry. So I'm going to try to peel this off before it takes down the rest. That wasn't too hard. I just pulled it off. Yeah, so the ones at the bottom, they feel good. Like they feel nice and firm. So the pine shavings seem to be doing an okay job. This one's starting to feel a little soft, but not terrible. So all in all, I would say that pine shavings seem to be okay. I will definitely try vermiculite next time, but the ones that I'm digging for seem okay. This is like digging for treasure. You know how kids like to dig through stuff, but for gardeners. Yeah, so far I'm pretty happy. I was actually really worried about these, but it turns out that they seem to be doing okay in the pine shavings. So now that I've packed them all back in, some of them are sitting above the shavings and paper shavings and pine shavings. So the pine shavings that I used are these things here. It's animal bedding and it's pine wood. And always buy a brand new one because you don't want to reuse these from year to year. In any case, this is what I used this year because I couldn't get any vermiculite. You know, the supply chain issue stuff that's going on. I only had a little bit left in my shed, and so I figured I would try this method. But now that I need to kind of top this off, I think I am going to go ahead and top it with a little bit of this vermiculite that I have left. I mean, I suppose it can't hurt. So let me do that. And then I will mist it and close them back up. That's pretty good. And then I'm just going to mist it. You don't want them sopping wet. You just want it just to have a little bit of moisture. The vermiculite makes it easy to know when it's wet because it changes color. I think that's good. And now I'm just going to cover it back up in case the box topples over so this vermiculite doesn't end up everywhere. And we're going to seal them back up. And now, we hope for the best. I have my dahlias stored in my garage this year, and they're right by the garage door, and I have them on a chair off of the concrete floor because concrete can wick moisture, and we don't want to lose any additional moisture from the dahlia box. And so I also have this temperature gauge that's telling me what the temperature is currently, and so on this in this corner of the garage, the temperature is 44 degrees. And so from what I've read, that seems to be an ideal temperature. It's above freezing and below, I think it's 55 or 60 degrees. Well, I'm glad I did that outside. What a mess all those pine shavings made. But in summary, it looks like the pine shavings are doing a good job. Next year, I will probably try the vermiculite and see if that does any better. But like anything else in gardening, it's all in a big experiment. You just learn by trial and error, and hopefully you found that helpful. Also, this could serve as a reminder to go and check on your dahlias. It might not be too late to save them, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.